Hey guys, what's up? So this is a prophetic warning to all children from Toy Story 5, adults alike. So I actually went to watch the movie yesterday because I like kids movies. And the movie really spoke to me and reminded me of a lot of biblical themes which I've learned. So first of all, I'd like to introduce you to the main character. Her name is Bonnie Anderson, and as you can see, she's staring at a tablet. It's a very familiar thing today, especially with those on TikTok who are constantly doom scrolling. But I'll get to that later. And as I said, there are many interesting parallels between this movie and this generation. So the opening scene actually begins with Bonnie, which is the young girl just playing with her toys, and then she sees two kids in the neighborhood, and it's clear she feels like an outcast and is shy to speak to those kids. And that's true with this generation, with the pervading anxiety that is hitting a lot of people, even us today. And Jesus says this in Luke chapter 21 verses 25. He says, "And there will be signs in the sun, in the moon, and in the stars, and on earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them from fear, and the expectation of those things which are coming to the earth, for the powers of the heavens will be shaken." Now, we just read about distress. Now, another way to describe distress, it says in mental health, distress refers to severe emotional suffering or anxiety that challenges a person's ability to cope. Which in the case of Bonnie, it was challenging her ability to even just simply socialize as a normal kid. Anyway, when she musters up the courage to speak to the kids, they laugh and go inside. And then the toys start to spy on the kids, and the kids are glued to their tablet devices, showing now there's a shift. Instead of kids being creative and playing together, they've now opted for devices and virtual fun rather than having organic face-to-face action. Now, what happens in the movie is it takes a shift. The young girl Bonnie is now given a tablet. She becomes so glued to the tablet that she doesn't pay attention. In other words, now her attention span is lowered. And asking this about tablets, do they lower attention span? It says excessive tablet use can negatively impact attention spans. So not using it moderately, but excessive use. And one of the ways people excessively use these things is Instagram Reels and TikTok. And it specifically speaks on fast-paced content. It says apps and videos that feature rapid cuts, constant motion, instant rewards train the brain to expect continuous stimulation. This can make slower-paced, real-world tasks feel less engaging and harder to focus on. And that's what's happening to the children of this generation and even the adults alike. And as I said, that's exactly what's happening today with children. Their attention spans have been lowered due to apps and tablets and new technological devices. Now, initially, she's a loner, but now she gets the tablet, she begins to make friends online. Now, as she makes friends online, she's invited to a sleepover. She brings her toys round to the sleepover. The girls start to make fun of her. And now, due to wanting to fit in, she can't be herself, so she abandons her toys. I'm just reminded of Proverbs chapter 29 verses 25. It says, "The fear of man brings a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord shall be safe." So due to the fear of man, she's now fallen into the snare of wanting to people please. She's now falling into the snare of wanting to fit in so she doesn't get made fun of. And that is a lot of us children and adults today. And now, due to the fear of what others think, she's trapped. She can't be herself. The same issue with many children today. They face peer pressure, and often the peer pressure they face leads to bad decisions in life. In 1 Corinthians chapter 15 verses 33, it says, "Do not be deceived. Evil company corrupts good habits." So initially she was a child who wanted to be creative and actually socialize, play organically. But due to the new technology and the friends that she made on it, now there's a shift. She ends up being a shadow of her former self. That's like what social media does to many people, especially apps like this, apps like TikTok. Like many of us today and many kids today, due to the peer pressure of being with others, we feel like we have to conform and become something We're really not supposed to be. Now, in one scene, the girl's tablet doesn't charge, right? She wakes up in the morning, the tablet's out of battery. Bonnie is all upset. And the reason for that is because she feels like she's missing out on what's happening on the tablet. Like many of us and kids today, we have the fear of missing out on what's happening on social media. We're always trying to keep up with the latest trends, what's going on, to a point where it really takes up a big chunk of our lives. And Juvenal makes an interesting statement. He says, give them bread and circuses and they will never revolt. So in other words, to keep society under control, make sure they have food to eat, and also keep them entertained, and then you'll be able to control them better. And that's what's happening to our society today with these tablets many times. Now, the main character, Bonnie, is being made fun of as she's had a message sent out searching for her toys. So this was basically sent from another device, and it was orchestrated by the toys, not herself. Now, her friends in her group chat on the tablet have now seen it, and they start making fun of her in the group chat. This begins to affect her mental health, so that when her toys are brought back to her, she actually refuses to accept them. Like many children today on social media, as long as they're on it long term, it affects their mental health. Especially when they make videos, they post out content, they say certain things, and a mass group of people begin to make fun of them. Unfortunately, there's a lot of keyboard warriors and people are quite mean. Now, the girl's mum, Bonnie's mum, reads the group chat, and seeing how it affects her daughter, she comforts her by showing her unconditional love, directing her not to focus so much on it, and ensuring her that she loves her the way she is. She doesn't have to perform to receive her mother's love. And that's exactly how God is with us. In 1 John chapter 4, verse 7 to 8, it says, Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God, and everyone who is born of God and knows God, and everyone, who loves is born of God and knows God. He who does not love does not know God, for God is love. And the love of God in the Bible, in the original Greek, is called agape, meaning unconditional love. Agape, it literally means the highest form of love. Selfless, sacrificial, and unconditional love persists no matter the circumstance. Now, towards the end of the movie, we see a marriage taking place. Basically, instead of the bride being given away by the father to the husband, it's the opposite. The husband is being given away to the wife. So you see how in weddings, the bride is usually walked down the aisle. It's instead of the bride, it's the husband being walked down the aisle. Now, what this shows now, there's been a shift in traditional roles in society for both males and females. It's like women are now taking more so the position of men, and men are taking the position of women. And it's sort of a distortion that's happening in society. I was reminded of Deuteronomy chapter 22 verses 5, and it says, A woman shall not wear anything that pertains to a man, nor shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all who do so are an abomination to the Lord your God. And in this context, how I would apply this verse is, a man shall not do what traditionally that a woman should do, and a woman shouldn't do traditionally what a man should do. And interestingly, it's what we see being played out today. So to really conclude, what we are seeing is now technology and status on social media has a big impact on many people's lives in a negative way, and it's been replaced for face-to-face action and real experiences. Gender roles are being distorted, women becoming more masculine and men becoming more feminine. But all in all, God loves us unconditionally, and we don't need to live for the pleasing of men, and we should take comfort in that. So we can do what He, the Most High, has called us to do. In Galatians chapter 1 verse 10, For do I persuade men or God, or do I seek to please men? For if I still please men, I would not be a bondservant of Christ.